So, is this the real Baad? Is this the actual Baad? Like the Baad that I'm used to, control Baad Blood? Playing 3 aggro decks? Has she even played aggro decks in a tourney before? I'm pretty surprised by this entire thing.
I don't think so. I mean, she still has blood. I don't know. I mean, you can't be predictable, Mofu. Come on, you can't be predictable.
Yeah, that's like your signature move.
You gotta bring new stuff.
It's like, right, very true. But looks like these are going to be some really, really fast matches. Triple aggro versus triple aggro-ish tempo swingy decks. I don't imagine these are games that are going to last all that long.
And both bland blood. Bland blood. That
Bland blood.
Bland blood.
The solid part of the plan. That's really interesting to me, actually, that she finds. Well, it makes a lot of sense considering Bloodcraft with 2 Diabolic Drains and such in Pain's list is probably the hardest thing for her to deal with this kind of setup.
It's kind of interesting. Even so, Daria, you know, they mentioned Daria a little bit on the desk. Daria is a deck that is really bad against triple control. It would have been terrible to have bring Daria against control. So I wonder if, you know, if like he kind of called it a little bit on Baad's part. There's no way Daria was going to get banned against control, right? So.
We're going to get to see that pretty soon. Now, this is actually something I'm not too familiar with because I haven't seen an aggro shadow list like this in forever. This is actually kind of nostalgic to me. This is my
really
latter
old
days.
I remember correctly. This is a PDK dragon, right? Yeah. So PDK dragon with the curve ending at Forte, just like nothing past Forte at all. So very interesting.
I see it's a pretty good hand to have in dragon. Pretty much like every single game you want to see something like this. I'm pretty sure we'll see within the next 3 turns. Rowan just completely goes Super Saiyan. In fact, he gets a Draconic Fervor amidst all of this. Once that staircase pops, I think we'll probably see this game just completely swing in Pain's favor after that point.
Well, I mean, he gets to evolve first, but to be fair, Baad's got, you know, she's got 2/2s on the board. She can make some more 2/2s. And Ayla only trades for 1 of those. It is going to be kind of awkward once Pain has like 7 play points, or 8 even, once Baad's only on 4 or 5, but I don't know.
There's always that lingering hope that Baad can just send this all in and make Pain's ladder or staircase pop as late as it possibly can. And even when it does, it could sometimes not pull PDK. And then even if he gets all those play points, it might still not actually help him at all.
Yeah, no. So actually, Prime Dragon Keeper's nerfed now, so it's 4 play points even. So that ramp is even more important to get it to be, you know, somewhere where you can even play it. And then it actually have, you know, play points available to play followers in the same turn, because that's really the power of PDK. It's like when it feels really good is when you play followers in the same turn, right? So.
Actually, like all I know about PDK was actually just watching you play it because I couldn't really afford it myself, or like the latter parts of the deck. So
Dragon decks have notoriously always been a lot of vials, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So like I have a hard time reading situations like this. Is this like a good position for Pain to be in? I can't tell like how ahead Baad would be.
Not with that Cerberus top deck. No, it is not. But Orthrus 2 puts his damage. This is terrible for PDK. He has nothing in his hand that will. He actually has to top deck a PDK here to actually have a chance. And it has to not hit Lurching Corpse. That's the situation.
Right. At least the Lurching Corpse with the Evo is going to survive quite a bit, but at the same time, that's, as I said before, not really a game that's going to last long. Forte, not really the most useful thing here.
Instant Fervor into a Blazing Breath. Pretty okay, though. Blazing Breath evolve into Raid. You live a little bit.
I see it. So if he were to evolve here, is he going to send that into the Lurching Corpse?
Cute little
It's possible. Definitely yes.
Yeah.
Definitely yes. Because you still have Blazing Breath back here for the 2/2. You want to get rid of the most damage on board as possible. You're against Shadow. Your evolve doesn't matter anyway. You're gonna get soul squashed anyway. And we see the Baad is holding that as well. So.
And the Mega Lorca just set the Nereid up. Like that's just clear board. Lost tempo here, and Cerberus turn for Baad. So even if Pain pulls PDK here,
Well, he's actually looking for Sybil and PDK. The God draw here is to pull. He's on 10 play points, so if he pulls both Sybil and PDK, he can go Sybil, PDK, Ivory Dragon, evolve any of those, and then heal off of Sybil, and then he'll be sitting pretty, right?
Right. I don't see him getting a chance to play out these fortes afterwards, though, so I think beyond that staircase popping, it really just comes down to whether Pain can get, as you said, Sybil, other healing options.
Right. Baad could go in right here for 2+4+2, not quite being able to kill Pain, but that'll also just use up all of her resources completely. So I'm not sure if she's going to go for that full Cerberus into evolve into both Coco and Mimi play I just mentioned. I doubt it. Probably Prince Catacombs this turn.
I'm feeling the Soul Squasher Catacombs here because Pain does have an evolution orb, yet doesn't really always feel good to commit a Soul Squash without killing something for it.
Right.
But
exactly,
at the same time, what is this? How do you deal with this?
This damage,
This
yeah,
is my
exactly.
special
Such
move.
sticky damage. You don't even care if Pain's not going to evolve Sybil anyway, right? Pain knows that Soul Squasher exists. He's not going to fall into that Sybil plan anyway. Just get the damage as you have it. You have a Cerberus in your hand to fall back on. I like this play a lot.
Mordecai leader or skeletons is completely ready to go in here. So short of getting a blazing breath off the actual draw here,
Was the worst. Well, I mean, there is PDK, but these skeletons are going to make this really impossible, I think, to clear. Unless Ivory Dragon just draws Ivory Dragons. Sybil? Okay.
Sybil. That's
That was the
something.
god.
Back up to
curve.
9.
Got it. Is
That's
Sybil
actually
good enough?
exactly as you called it, except like the only difference is the Ivory
I
Dragon
don't think
bolted.
it's been good enough. I think Scyther, yeah. I think Scyther's actually better. Didn't hit the 3-4.
Just gotta get these
which is
skelly
good.
boys outta here.
3-4. But these skeletons, man. What are you doing with skeletons? Oh my gosh.
And they're so cute. I learned just yesterday that skeletons are an actual just emblem of their own. Like amidst all the other like wonderful arts you can pick from. But even past the evolution here, I think that's 3 damage left on board. And then Cerberus pumps that up by an additional 4 on the play.
Cerberus does add 4 to the board, and that's going to be lethal for Baad. Very quick victory, turn 7.
That was
Instant surrender.
Pain on
Doesn't
that,
want to
that
see
APM on that
Coco,
surrender. Wait, did you see that? They actually
Yeah, I
still
saw
went
that.
off.
Came
Referee
out
turn
anyway.
around.
Spoopy.
Alright, quick win. That was an assertive victory too. Baad, known for playing control in like the most conservative way imaginable beforehand, but clearly has the practice to just completely go in, count damage, and take an easy matchup like that if Pain just fails to respond.
When you play control decks, you kind of show that you're good at math, right? You know, quick maths are how you're good at aggro. So I didn't doubt her skills really.
Right.
Time to shine, Daria.
So
This is
moving.
Daria against. So what do you think happens with Daria against Forest?
This is really weird because like I have history with you with this. We used to cast Forest versus Rune like 20 times a day, right? But both have changed so much since then.
Things have changed since then, though. So.
Both classes have grown and moved on since. We have all these amulets in Forest that are so. I think Wood of Brambles and Elf Song have just like single or dual-handedly just transformed this class ever since. It's like unrecognizable from its past forms.
Well, I mean, realistically, we've regressed back to playing Blessed Fairy Dancer, so I think we're actually getting back to our roots, if anything.
Now, I think this is probably one of the matchups where and the Wood of Brambles and the advantage it can give you versus like aggressive decks doesn't really show up that much.
It would be insane if Pain's hand was not atrocious. Mystic Ring into an Insight. If that Insight finds what he threw back, okay, all right. That's one of the reasons I hate Mystic Ring personally, is because whenever you Mystic Ring something away, you're always going to draw it right back immediately. That's what happens. We all know that.
I remember like the first time I even caught wind of Daria being something that people looked into again. I actually have to credit that to you too. I remember you were playing Daria for like an entire day, and then like the day after, it just suddenly became popular again because some Japanese player just like discovered it.
Dude,
and it was like the same list.
I can see the future. I told you guys Daria would get popular again. That was the real purpose of my Smurf account, was just to test out Daria, and I knew after the first couple games. Yeah.
That said, now Angelic Snipe is actually something I've been staring at this entire time. This is not something I remember seeing in Daria at all. I'd imagine things like Angelic Snipe and even Mystic Ring. I've noticed since I've been like dabbling into D-Shift myself recently that 1-cost spells and Rune are like they have this entire other effect like stapled onto all of them, which just gives you these turbo turns sometimes with how you can play
Right.
them next to a magic owl.
One cost spells, sort of in a way, they compound with multiple spell boost cards in your hand to sort of ramp you in a way. It's kind of weird. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically, if you play enough one cost spells, you're basically playing dragon. Kind of. Yeah.
It's like you're playing
makes sense.
dragon in a way that like works only in your current hand. It's a lot to manage, but
Yeah, exactly. It's like
yeah.
it's like a more, contained version of dragon, right? You can't top deck a 10 drop, right? But you can play an 18 drop in your hand, right?
Now you said that this hand was really awful, and I'm like staring at it now. I think it had a pretty good response to fairies for the most part, but now post Elf Song, it's looking really difficult to actually get a solid clear on Baad here into Baad's next few turns.
Right. The thing about Elf Song is that it very quickly can turn what looked like an okay board, an okay easy to clear board with Magic Missile, Angelic Snipe into, oh my gosh, I can't kill anything because they're all one more toughness now, which is bad.
Life's fate is that.
Pretty bad. Like bad.
Pretty bad. It's gonna get worse too. Oh gosh, Roach drawn.
Now, that's pretty huge. That's always been like one of the quintessential parts of matchups like this is like what wards does Rune really have, especially when you play a version that doesn't use like new things like Golem Assault or otherwise. And that's like, aside from that, there's really nothing in this game that will like prevent or keep you safe from a Roach setup. And Baad's probably going to get the chip damage you need to.
Exactly. I mean, some Daria decks do, like mine personally, a lot of people do as well in Japan, will run Golem Assault in Daria, and even will go so as far, some of them will play Ice Golem, Summon Ice Golem. But none of that is available for Pain, so like you said, that Roach is going to be instrumental in finishing off. I think, honestly, Baad could even, I mean, she could even go hardcore into this and just try to set it up anyway, like, just go in this turn.
Yeah. If you're Baad here, what are you thinking about? Is she perhaps drawn to the allure of playing Staircase as it always tempts you on 5, or?
I don't think so quite as much as that. Brambles into Fairy, Bless Fairy Dancer, Evolve the Fairy on the board, probably, or just flood wide into Bless Fairy Dancer, Evolve the Fairy on the board. She might be considering killing the Ogler. You know, it is possible that Daria goes really wide in one turn and then just Piercing Runes you and just goes in. So it's possible. Yeah, okay, I like this. Go face.
Going for that chip damage.
Is 4 damage chip damage? It's a fifth of your life.
Is it a chip damage, or she just kind of like baseball bat Pain's
Ooh,
like that?
that owl though.
Oh my.
Oh my.
I don't think the Daria is playable
play
even
Rune,
past
right?
the Elder.
You play a lot of Rune, right, Mafu?
A little bit lately. I'm practicing.
Have you heard the Gospel of the Owl?
I have heard the Gospel of the Owl. I've noticed
How good is it?
this owl is like the most important card Rune has ever received in like the past like several expansions. Just this little bronze owl
It's the
bull.
best thing since Slice Levi, yes. It is incredible. Ooh, we're not killing the last fairy. Okay. Alright.
I guess Pain also wants to respond to that damage rather than just sit here and trade the entire time. Probably
Right.
senses Baad probably has a threat or something coming. Doesn't have much time.
Exactly. Even though Pain is running a little bit less damage than normal, running Kaleidoscopic Glows, Mystic Rings, his deck is still a Daria deck, and it still wants to do damage so it can actually win the game, so.
Even with drawing the owl, since owl itself will never really spell boost something past like the amount of play points you have to pay for it, like it wouldn't help with the fact that he couldn't play the Daria this turn. It means like Pain's damage is not really going to come out until the turn after this one, which is going to be his swing. But what's happening with Baad's hand here? We noticed the pickup on the Roach, but limited board space. Bramble hasn't popped yet. The Fairy Dancers, but no developed board, which is probably going to get swung soon. I wonder if Pain isn't actually in a pretty good spot here.
I think Baad is heavily considering trading, and this fairy is about to get some mega value. Oh gosh. Oh no.
Triple Strike Fairy. Pretty good.
That's a pretty good fairy.
The Evo Orb here can just like take out this owl and the fairy just not take a hit in return.
Right, yeah, that's actually insanely powerful too, because it also will survive Piercing Rune as well. Like, Kaleidoscopic Glow can bounce it, but you risk drawing into a Daria.
That was always the most terrifying parts of these turns. Oh, no Daria?
Okay, alright. Piercing Rune, Ogler, Daria, for sure you ditch a Blade Mage, but you can't pass up this board.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of like just the climax of the Daria deck, usually.
Oh, beautiful draw. Angelic Snipe face, Blade Mage Evolve face, I believe, never mind. Okay.
Never mind.
Play a bit
be
more
kinda
passively
conservative.
than I had an idea of.
You saw like a whole like anime cutscene of fighting there.
I was
It's
like,
just
yeah, the game is over. My deck has no pathetic cards. I'm going face.
Mhm. Really, really
I do
fortunate
like the
to
more
get that second
conservative
Daria
play,
too.
though. It plays around top decking a spell boost card. You can spell boost it with Angelic Snipe, or it plays around top decking a Piercing Rune. You can evolve to make it 2. So either of those top decks are pretty great now.
Mm-hmm. So as I was mentioning, it seemed like Pain was in a pretty good spot here, but I'm noticing even though Baad has access to a Roach, there's no bounce here, and there's no board for these 2 Blessed Fairy Dancers, and there's no board space to set up anything else. So what is actually the play here? I'm like trying to see if Baad actually really has a solid out to this.
Well, she's gonna have to defensive Roach. Unfortunately, out of evolves, you can't really do anything. The Ogre is all you can get rid of. This is gonna be really close. 7 + 2 + 1 is not quite that.
Is Pain 1 off here? I think.
Yeah.
1 off. Yeah. Ooh,
Never
there it
mind.
is.
Always gets it. Pain draws lethal.
Mm-hmm. There's an easy insight magic missile. There's so much. This is something I'll like forever remember about this deck. Is like before Daria's existence, there wasn't really any deck that just had like this massive amount of burn in it, other than just like aggro bats back in the day. There's the seed.
Yeah, Razory Claws and Demonic Strikes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Against Daria, it's like you always cross your fingers when you have to leave up damage that they don't have the extra burn, and they just draw into it because there's like 15 possible pieces.
It's insane, yeah. Even when you fill the deck with Mystic Rings and Kaleidoscopic Glows, there's still a lot of damage outs. There's Blade Mages, Magic Missiles, Angelic Snipes, Piercing Runes. There's so many ways to actually like kill your opponent when it looks like you have no way to do it.
Yeah. And back in our day, they even played Demonic Strike. I specifically remember conceding to that so often. Alright, so...
4 play points for 3 damage. Oh, the easy times.
Mm-hmm. We were so innocent back then when that was the most damage we knew
We're so innocent.
in our childhoods. But,
Aggro
so
Forest. Ooh, that hand, though. Against PDK.
yeah. Baad's looking like, it's not gonna help it.
And stuck going first, and that hand is terrible. Oh my gosh.
And doesn't look like Pain's gonna be struggling.
Yeah, this is gonna be a climb from the pits of whatever that hand is.
Pretty much. When does this hand even activate? I think Baad's first turn, right, is just the Aperia at this point. Like, this Water Fairy can maybe respond to some of the throwaway followers that PDK plays early to cycle at best.
That's possible. Blessed Fairy Dancer? Oh gosh, that's just ugh. I mean, I guess you could poke. He could Roach poke and then... And I guess you could barrage the 1/2. Ew.
Get that 1 damage in there.
Oh no.
Oh!
This feels
Baad
bad.
just really
That's
wants to
actually
do
what Baad's
something.
doing. She's doing that,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, it preserves the Water Fairy, right? So I kind of like it.
Right. I think preserving the Water Fairy just like that is really strong, just because this is Baad's last line of defense, really, in terms of like trying to have a strong opener. At least try to get a little damage in there.
Just a little bit. Just a little eensy bit of damage. That does give a fairy for Fairy
That's-
Driver to work off of on 6, so... Ugh. Oh gosh. Here we go. Double Roach. That's the play, right?
That is very, very assertive. Let's get that 3 damage in there.
3 damage for 4 play points. We just said Demonic Strike's pretty good, and this one's stuck on 2 bodies, so...
Yeah. It's a demonic strike that spawns things that you gotta remove.
Easy.
And then she can go to Fairy Driver and the Fairy and do another 2. Just get these little love taps. Right,
Skips the
but
turn.
none of that seems realistic enough to actually commit here.
Right, so snap Draconic Fervor from Pain. A perfect turn for him. He's now an Overflow next turn. Baad, I don't know what she can even draw. I mean, she's got the Hyperia this turn, so...
Unfortunately...
That's actually not bad. Liza's great against PDK, realistically, because, you know, that way breath doesn't do anything. PDK itself doesn't do anything.
I think that's actually like, I remember even between that and like Beauty and the Beast were two things people were flipping out to really try to deal with PDK and effects like it. I really like that pre-evolve there, because otherwise, seeing him go into Overflow there is just, it would just spell absolutely nothing from a 5-4 stat line.
Exactly. That Aqua Narade would have gone to town.
Alright, 7-2 though, sticking in there. Nothing more Pain can do about that.
Can't stop that. Gonna pre-evolve his own Prime Dragon Keeper here. Interesting.
Is afraid of an Airbound Barrage, perhaps?
Yeah, probably doesn't want to die into Airbound Barrage. That's it's gonna get Dance of Death though, for sure.
You feeling that Dance of Death?
I think we're feeling that Dance of Death.
Yeah, it seems like a really good play to go for here. Nothing really worth doing with the Fairy Driver. There's also like some vague possibility I see of trying to just develop board instead. Going for a couple followers into Eliza, maybe?
I mean, you get like Fairy Roach Liza, I guess. Or you could go Roach Liza to protect everything, I guess. I'm not sure.
Maybe. I guess it just comes down to like, what is Baad looking to do with the Superior? Just hit face and lose it? Hit face, get rid of the PDK, that's it. Put it up next to a bunch of followers and Eliza so that Pain has a lot to deal with and not much to do with it. It's really kind of hard for me to make that call even.
Well, if Baad's willing to use her last evolve to hopscotch the 2-2 and plays Eliza last, then she'll have a pretty hard to answer board if that PDK also dies. But it would be literally impossible to play Eliza and kill the PDK. So I'm not quite sure if that's the option. I think yeah, just go face for 9. I like it.
Right. That one last play point. I guess that Fairy's gonna get held. No need to kill anything with it to pop that staircase for him.
Right, absolutely no reason to play that when you're holding, ooh, Blazing Breath, when you're holding the Fairy Driver there, so.
Solid Blazing Breath. I think it slows down Pain a little bit. I mean, he's got his play points all figured out, but with the loss of that PDK, he's not got anything else. Needs to cycle for another way to actually, like, assert any kind of advantage he's gotten so far.
Right. I imagine Evolve will come down. Yeah, from Pain. Spreading the stats around, I like it. He has to realize that there are no wards in his deck. He either draws Sybil to heal a little bit, or kills Baad before, you know, she kills him. And he's much lower than he seems, because that roach, the 2 roaches are in hand, so.
I think one thing that Baad's got to consider with that Evolve, though, is that 6 damage left on board, and even though he doesn't have it now, he's searched a lot of followers with the staircase, he's played a couple Dragon Summoners. If he just so much as has a Forte in hand, in the case that he might, then that is a lethal setup right there.
That is true. 6 + 7 is 13. However, you know, Baad's entire win condition is to go face as much as possible, so I don't imagine she'll evolve defensively. We'll see. Maybe defensively using the Fairy off the Fairy Driver. I'm not sure. This turn's hard also, honestly.
Yeah, the Fairy Driver. I mean, there's no other Fairy generation in her hand right now. It'd take a while to get any
Driver
fuel for
Fairy
him.
Liza is fine, I guess. You don't get to play the staircase though. Ooh, a defensive. Yep. Double defensive. Okay. I mean, I like it. She's respecting Forte, and I like it. I do like this play.
Just wants to keep board here. Knows that there's not really anything that Dragon can do, or any tricks it can really use to remove a board when it can't do damage through effects. Oof.
Ooh, Sybil gone. Well, that, you know, I was gonna agree with you, Mofu, until I saw that Scyther in hand, because that Scyther does do that.
I think Pain has lethal, right? With the Erd. Played
He
around
does,
it.
but Scyther does remove followers if they have Liza effect.
Sure, yeah.
But Forte does 12 damage.
That's really solid finisher for Pain. Just managed to, well, I think I attribute that a lot to Baad's massively slow starter. But
That was
Pain
definitely
takes it, right?
unfortunate for her. Yeah, let's see what Rainy and Exo think of that game.